Hey everyone, and welcome back to Joey's Retro Newscast, where I'll be going over the top news of the last week in retro handhelds, retro gaming, and just gaming in general. EmuDeck 2.4 is out with some new changes. You can now use Citron with it, the Nintendo Switch emulator, with a bit of a workaround. You can also use Azahar, the new 3DS emulator. It is also supported. There's also a new BIOS checker, some new things, along with a new hint of a library manager. So if you're one of those people using EmuDeck, seems like a really good update. The first stable version of Azahar, the 3DS emulator, is out. It's sort of a combination of all the changes that we saw in the release candidate versions, and some new features and that sort of thing. But we've already talked about this in the last few weeks. There isn't anything surprisingly new. What is new is you can grab this right off of the Google Play Store if you're on Android, otherwise the GitHub for Linux and Windows and that sort of thing. The Sudachi developer also released his first 3DS emulator, and it is called Citrus. We have officially run out of names for 3DS emulators. So this is sort of a test. I have no idea how well this performs, but it is meant to be included with something called Folium, which is also a multi-system emulator program that they are developing. So you can think of Folium as a RetroArch type program. Now, I have not personally tested either of these. I would be interested in seeing how they perform, but it is super cool that somebody else is developing something like this. Question of the week, and this week's question actually comes off of an upcoming video that I have. What is an older handheld that you think deserves a re-release, an update, a sequel, successor, all that sort of thing? A handheld that maybe does not exist today that you want to bring back. And so for me personally, the RG280V and the RG351P from Anbernic would be two devices that I would love to see come back. And they would be very simple to just do updates for. Give them an H700 processor, give them Wi-Fi, and you could just release them as they were because they were perfect in every other way. So little things like this is what I mean. Let me know in the comments, what is an older handheld that maybe you have seen or maybe you had that just kind of is dated now, but you'd love to see again? And don't worry, I'm not going to be stealing any of your ideas. I've already filmed my video. It is finished. It is ready to go. Jumping over into device news now, and the Nintendo Switch 2 is going to be coming out next week. Well, at least we'll be finding out price and dates, and apparently pre-orders are going up according to Best Buy Canada. So this is your last chance to make all of your bets and get over to Vegas and make some deals there as to what you think is going to be in here, what's going to be happening, what they're announcing, all of that, because April 2nd is their direct, all about the Switch 2, and we're going to find out everything. The annoying part is I have to wake up early for this one. Why can't they just put it a little bit later in the day? But yes, I know, I'm not the only time zone in the world, but still, I got to wake up early. The Abxylute One Pro Kickstarter went live yesterday morning, and so we have pricing and all that sort of thing, and there was a limited version for pricing as well, up to 30 people that can get it. So I don't know how much is left at this point. I have not checked, and I actually didn't even check it now when I'm filming, which is when it went up. So I have no idea what's going on there, but it did go up. So pricing-wise, it's the first 30 people got it for $199, which I'm assuming we've passed. Abxylute One owners will get it for $199. Early bird pricing is $209 for regular people that are on Kickstarter, and the Kickstarter price is $219. The MSRP is $249, whenever that ends up on Abxylute's website. So I'm going to throw up the specs on screen again to remind you of what this comes with for $199 if you can snag it for that price. So $199 to me is pushing it for what this device does and can do. I still think that the specs are lower than that price from a value perspective. The problem is they can get away with it because they have no competition. There is no other 7-inch device in this price range, unless you're counting used. Like, you can find used Logitech G Clouds, of course, but not every country, not every person, not every area has access to that, and it's not enough to cover everybody who wants these types of devices. So there is no retail device with a 7-inch screen that is in this price point. However, the purpose of this device is mostly streaming, and I think it's falling flat on that. Looking at the specs, Wi-Fi 5, not going to be great on that front. Looking at the processor, all of that, the decoding latency is probably going to be high. All these sorts of things combine into a very confusing messaging of, is this an emulation device or is it a streaming device? And if it's one or the other, why isn't it excelling at either of those two things? Because the chip is probably going to be able to do some native GameCube, PS2, that sort of thing, but you're going to have a bad time with most of it. And then on the other hand, with the whole streaming thing, Wi-Fi 5, the chip they're using, all of that, it's not going to be the best time either. So this is a very, very confusing device to me. The marketing is a mismatch with the specs, and it's a mismatch with what it's being marketed as. It's very confusing. Long story short, this likely will be a good, cheap option for budget streaming, with budget being the key word there, because you're probably not going to have a very smooth time on Artemis or I don't even know, GeForce Now, all that sort of thing. Like, this isn't going to be an amazing time to me and what I can see, at which point you'll probably have to spend a bit more. Like the Odin 2 Portal is another $150 on top. So yeah, that's not cheap. It's more expensive, but you're getting a better time there. The Logitech G Cloud, if you can find it used, is still going to be a better option than this. There is a small number of devices that compete with this, and that is the one thing that they can get away with, charging $199 for this, putting mediocre sort of specs in this, is the fact that there's just no competition. That's their one gain here. I was personally going to order one for review, but I think I'm going to pass. I'll see if they send me one, and then I'll review it, but if not, then I'm probably just going to move on. Powkiddy is finally making a device that is actually going to matter. It is a 3.2 aspect ratio screen, 4x5 or 4.5 inch screen, 1620 by 1080. Yeah, for those of you familiar, this is the same screen that is in the KTR1. So this has Wi-Fi, it has Android, it has Linux, and it apparently has the all-winner A527P processor inside. So I am super excited to see how Powkiddy bungles this one, because all of this is kind of a slam dunk so far. A lot of people have been waiting for a good device to use this screen for a while now, so I'm actually excited and curious to see if that's actually going to be Powkiddy or if we're still going to have to wait a little bit longer. Powkiddy sort of has a track record and history of not doing well with these sorts of things. No idea on release date or anything like that, so we'll keep up to date when I hear more. Did you know that our Discord has a Game of the Month and a Romhack of the Month? Well, guess what? It's perfect timing. We are currently voting on the games for April. So we usually vote on the systems first for Game of the Month and Romhack of the Month, and then we vote on the games. So there's a list of 10 games on each for you to vote on. And if you're curious about the types of games that we are voting on right now, maybe you want to come join, because there is Advance Wars, there is Dragon Ball Advance Adventure, Drill Dozer, Golden Sun, Minish Cap, Kirby Nightmare in Dreamland, Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga, Metal Slug Advance, Sonic Advance, and Wario Land 4. Those are the games of the month that we're actually voting on. And if you're curious about the ROM hacks of the month, because that's where I live, Dragon Ball Z Team Training, which is apparently a Pokemon game with Dragon Ball characters. That's super fun. Fire Emblem and Darren Saga. Talked about this in my Fire Emblem video. Fire Emblem Storage, same thing. Fire Emblem The Last Promise, another good ROM hack. Pokemon Adventure Red Chapter, super fun, follows the manga. Pokemon Ash Gray, also super fun, it follows the anime. Pokemon Fire Red Rocket Edition, you are a Team Rocket employee playing through Pokemon Red. How fun. Pokemon Recharged Yellow, yeah, it's a better yellow. Super Metroid GBA Edition, it is Super Metroid on Game Boy Advance. And lastly, Wario Land 4 Burning Nightmares, which is a Wario Land 4 ROM hack. Super fun. So yeah, if you aren't in the Discord and those games sound fun to you, you should come vote because you might win. Longtime video game publication company Game Informer is back. Now, in case you don't remember, last August, GameStop shut down Game Informer, and it was ugly. It sucked. It was not a good time at all, and they didn't get a proper send-off either. It was really bad handling on all fronts. Then, recently, Game Informer, as a brand, was sold to Gunzilla Games, who is a mobile game company or a blockchain company. It is super weird. But the big news is they are bringing back Game Informer with the same writers, and they also promised them editorial independence. They've actually said that they'll be catching up on older things that they've missed since they were shut down. So there's going to be a whole bunch of reviews and everything. There's going to be a bunch of stuff. And apparently they are also going to be coming back with a print version too at a later time. Super cool. Welcome back, Game Informer. Oh baby, we are getting a Persona 4 remake. In true Persona fashion, I can almost guarantee that the remake version probably will not be the best version of the game if we follow previous Persona remakes and remasters and re-releases, all that sort of thing. It's going to be another scenario of like, you should get the other game if you want this, and then this game if you want this. And they never do like the one true sequel, remaster, remake sort of thing. But I love Persona. I have no words here. Just give me more Persona. This is easy. There was a Nintendo Direct yesterday focused on Switch 1 games. So let's go quickly over the interesting ones. More shown off about Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD 2D remake, but still no date. There's a new game in the AI Somnium Files series, which are fun detective-style games, and it's called No Sleep for Konami Date, and it is coming July 25th. Raidu Remastered, The Mystery of the Soulless Army, is coming June 19th, and this is a remaster of the PS2 game Devil Summoner, with also Raidu Soulless Army in the title. It's a long title. We have a date for the Pac-Man roguelike Shadow Labyrinth, and it is July 18th. Surprising game here, but Patapon 1+2 Replay is coming July 11th. And this is actually surprising because it was a PlayStation exclusive. One of two in this Direct today. There's a new Story of Seasons game called Grand Bazaar, and it is coming August 27th. But I haven't enjoyed a Story of Seasons game in a long while, so I don't have a lot of hope for this one. First big game shown is Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. Still no date or anything, still says this year, but they just showed more of the game. Witchbrook was finally shown with a release date of holiday 2025, and it just looks like a charming witch-based RPG game, and that looks fun. Pokemon Legends ZA has a new trailer with some new information, and a ranking system for the wild zones, and some other things. It's just more information. Nintendo talked about a new feature called Virtual Game Cards, and it lets you share titles with others. But it seems like a downgrade from their current system of how they handle it. So thankfully, it seems like it's an opt-in system right now, but it was a bit confusing to try and understand how it might be better than what they have now. It was quickly shown in a montage, but Fantasy Life, The Girl Who Steals Time, is coming May 21st, and that might be my most hyped game on this list because I loved the original Fantasy Life. The second PlayStation exclusive that is coming to Switch, and it is another favorite of mine, but it is Everybody's Golf Hot Shots, with no date, but it is super fun news that it is coming. And then they ended off with Tomodachi Life, Living the Dream, for those of you that care about that game. That is it for this Direct. Next week, we will have information on the Switch 2 with pricing and all that sort of thing. So let me know what excited you from today's Direct, or yesterday's Direct. So what have I been playing? And the answer is Assassin's Creed Shadows. That's kind of it. I have been engrossed with that game since my day off. Played it through the entire weekend. Been playing it since then. All on my portal, all streaming. Fantastic. And I just got my 5070 Ti yesterday. 2 days ago? Yesterday. And so I get to play it now with even better frame rates and all that sort of thing. That game is super fun. It is probably the best Assassin's Creed game to date. Has the best stealth for sure when you play as Naue, and you get kind of like a ninja shinobi kind of style. But then you can switch over to Diogo? What's his name? Oh, I forgot his name. You can switch over to the guy who actually gets fun as the game goes on. Doing Spartan kicks and just destroying people as like this big samurai guy is super fun. And Yasuke, that's who it is. Yasuke. So you play as him and you can swap between both characters as you play. It is a super fun game. I'm actually really enjoying it. It hit at the right time. So I'm near the end. I got like 1 or 2 more missions, I think, at this point. So I'm almost done. But I also finished Pokemon Emerald Sea Glass. That is a fun Pokemon Emerald Romhack. Not a lot to talk about there. It is just super fun. I don't know. I enjoyed it. I like the art style. So if you're looking for an Emerald Romhack, Emerald Sea Glass, super fun. Okay, so let's end off with some newscast Q&A. As always, you can send them in to newscast@joeysretrohandhelds.com, or if you come join the Discord, there is a channel there and you can submit the questions through there. So, first question comes in from Superbottle. If you could have new games be made by any or for any retro system, what system would it be? Game Boy Advance, and it's so easy. Game Boy Advance has the best artwork, best music, best style, best gameplay. I don't know, all of it. Make more games for the Game Boy Advance, and I am there. So, Good Boy Galaxy, super fun. That is an example of that. But I mean, it's a system that doesn't age. No matter how old you get, you can go back to it. There's no weird polygons, all that sort of thing. You can just play Game Boy Advance at any age, and it doesn't feel like it is old or anything like that. So yes, GBA. This question comes in from Tea Time Gaming. Okay, for real though, where's Ambernick? They're at your mom's house. I'm kidding. I don't know. I have no idea what they're doing. My hope is they've been taking this time to perfect whatever they are doing next. Probably seems like they are done with the H700. So whatever the new processor is, which rumors are pointing it to being an all-winner A527P, which can handle Android and Linux. And if that is the scenario, then they have to build up both the Android and Linux sides all over again. That takes time. So my assumption is that is what's happening. They are building up newer devices with newer chips, and it's taking time to build all of that up. That's me giving them the benefit of the doubt. I don't know, but yeah, let them take their time. Do you miss them? It's given me time to just focus on other things, play actual games, all of that without having to worry about reviews, worry about new devices. We have more than we need in this hobby from a device perspective. I don't know what you're missing, but I'm going to guarantee that you don't need it. So play what you have. I'm sure it's great. Last question of the day, and this comes in from Jake. You go very hard in your reviews, and you often tell people not to buy a handheld. But at the end of the day, aren't we just here to have fun? And aren't these just toys? So why does it matter? This is actually a really good question. And I wrote down some notes. I'm going to look down a little bit, but it's a great question because I've seen the same sentiment from a bunch of different people. These are fun little toys. Why do you go so hard on them? All that sort of thing. But I mean, at the end of the day, you are spending money as a consumer. They are toys. They are fun, but that doesn't mean that you have to waste money either. It is the same idea as if you go watch a movie. If you know a movie is bad, if you know it's getting 1 out of 10 reviews, are you likely to go spend money on that movie over a 10 out of 10 movie? The answer is no. You might be a weird person, you might be like, I want that bad movie, but most people are going to be like, no, I want a better experience for my money because movies cost like $50 nowadays to go see. You could also point that towards restaurants or video games, all of that. Are you going to spend money on a 1 out of 5 restaurant instead of a 5 out of 5 restaurant, assuming they cost the same amount of money? Are you going to do that for a video game? All of these sorts of things. So why is it any different for a handheld? And the answer is it isn't. It's the same thing. It's just people in this niche develop sort of brand love and loyalty, and then they get stuck on that. And when you tell them that their handheld, the Miu Flip, isn't good, they get mad at you because of that. But you could buy an Anbernic RG35XX SP for cheaper money that works and doesn't have the problems the Miu Flip has, but they get mad at you for that because they like Miu. And so it's that sort of scenario is when you're a reviewer, a real reviewer that actually tells people, hey, you shouldn't buy this thing because it is not as good as this other thing that exists, and there isn't a single thing that it does better, you kind of get on that end of having people mad at you for those sorts of conversations. But I would rather be consumer focused in that way. I would rather tell you when a device sucks and you should not buy it, or you should wait for it to get fixed and all that sort of thing, than to just constantly be like, yeah, this device is the best, this device is the best. It's when you go look at a YouTube channel like that, and every single thing they review in any sort of niche, a camera, our handhelds, video games, all of that, and every single thing they review is the best, what sort of value are you bringing to your viewers and consumers? The answer is nothing. That it's nothing. You are just entertainment at that point. And I am not aiming for that. I am aiming for consumer information, helping you make better decisions when purchasing these devices. So, long story short here, yes, these handhelds are fun. Yes, I enjoy them. They are hobbies, they're toys, all of that. But I still want to see you spend the best amount of money for your money instead of wasting it. So that's my goal. That is all we have for this week. So again, newscast@joeysretrohandhelds.com to send in your emails for questions, or come join the Discord and send it in through the channel there. Appreciate you all for watching, and that's all from me, Amarillo, Texas.